Hello, loves. Okay, are you ready to explore with me this cake from pretty much beginning to end with all the ups and the downs, the good and the bad? Well, let's start with the toppers. So, that little well on the side, I tried to make it out of Rice Krispie treats. I got the cute little figure and everything. I put the fondant on and I was like, okay, it doesn't need to be super smooth because what I'm going to do is cover it in like the brick pattern. So I do have a little mat that makes like a brick pattern design, and I went ahead and I used that. And afterwards I kind of wrapped around the little well, but it wasn't looking nice, guys, because the brick bent over in an oddly shape and I didn't like it. So I was like, all right, I guess I gotta get rid of this and start over again. I decided instead to just make little bricks that I cut out of the same color and then kind of just wrap them around each other, just like you would make a regular real life well, and stack them on top of each other as well. As well for the well. And then I just wrapped twine around skewer sticks because I figured that would be the best to hold its shape. I melted some Jolly Ranchers and added a blue color for the water. I wish I didn't make it so blue though, because look how dark it got after it hardened. And then I just pretty much stuck the sticks all together with some hot glue. I made the little bucket out of fondant, but the only thing not edible is the sticks and the twine there. Now, for the mushrooms, as you can see, I made the little stick for the mushrooms, and then I'm making the toppers for them. Those were pretty easy, and you know what? They looked like mushrooms. That's why in my head I was like, okay, I'll make the cake look like that. It'll look like a mushroom. Nope. For the butterflies, I did freehand it, although someone in the comment section said that the butterfly's body looks like a sausage, and now I can't unsee it. Listen, it didn't look like a sausage while I was making it, okay? So we're going to pretend that you didn't say that. So now these are all the toppers that I made on Tuesday, ready to go. You have to leave them on the side so that they harden in place. And now onto the cake. Mind you though, on Tuesday, that's when my ovary cyst ruptured. And when it does happen, it typically starts with very mild pain, and then as the day progresses, it gets excruciatingly worse. Before I continue with that though, this cake was vanilla with custard and stuffed with blueberries and strawberries. I stuffed it because it was just a 2-layer cake. For the bottom tier though, it was going to be chocolate with raspberry jam and some chocolate mousse, which I think is a great combination, you guys. This was supposed to be just 2 layers, but I had so much leftover filling that I decided to cut one of the thicker cakes in half and make it a 3-layer cake instead, which typically would help serve more people. So the bottom tier was going to be a tree trunk, and what I did was kind of added brownish color on top of the cream after I iced it, and then I used that edged, I guess, a scraper to kind of create a tree trunk look, which was kind of pointless because really when I put it all together, it barely showed. So I didn't show me icing this middle tier, but this is the pink icing I went for. And now on to covering the board. Now, mind you, after my ovarian cyst had ruptured and I went to the doctor to make sure I was okay 2 days later because that was the only time that the pain went away. When I tell you guys excruciating pain, I really mean it. I think I have a high tolerance for pain, but that was just, oh my God, it had me doubled over crying. And normally this kind of cake, well, hold on, let me tell you about this first. So I have this mold that I use for the tree trunk, which I absolutely love because it just makes it look so real. I just added some brown edible dust to kind of give it some depth. And then I just placed it on the cake. Afterwards, I ripped the tops off to make it look natural. Okay, so normally this type of cake needs a couple of days to work on. You can't do something like this in one whole day, or you're going to be spending the entire day doing it. Because somebody commented after I had said that I wouldn't want my cake to not be fresh if it was more than a couple of days old. And I'm like, oh, you don't know anything about these kinds of cakes, do you? You have to work in different parts. So Friday, my excruciating pain went down to a dull discomfort, and this cake was due Saturday. So I literally did it from beginning to end. I pretty much spent the whole day on it, other than the toppers. Okay, so what did the doctors conclude with me? Well, guess what, you guys? This is something that I'm going to have to experience every single year, or year and 3 months or so. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to suffer in pain for a couple of days. I was like, well, that's just grand. Oh, how I love being a woman. Anywho, I did say thank God it was nothing worse, and I just wish I knew when it would happen. That way I can write it in my calendar and be like, this is the day I'm going to suffer for a couple of days, so make sure not to take any orders. That's all I ask for, you know? Anywho, I made the mushroom topper a styrofoam because I didn't want it to be too top heavy on the cake. So the mushroom topper and then the middle part of the mushroom, I guess I would call it, is where I made the mistake. It was too tall and the mushroom topper was too rounded from the top. But I didn't realize that until much later. So here I am stacking the cakes. Of course, we have to do the straws, the skewer, careful sponge bop it out, and then bam, there you go. As you can see, most of the tree trunk disappeared. And now I'm going to add the mushroom topper, quote unquote. Again, we're going to put our first straw in, cut it to the size of the length of the cake, or the height of the cake, I should say. And here you can see as I cut the other straws that they're flying. I put that part in slow-mo so you can see them. Now the top tier is like a 5-inch, so I put 5 straws, and then I'm going to put the skewer and then basically add the cake. Now, here I am contemplating my life. It looks like a penis. So I was basically in tears because I was exhausted. I took it down, ripped it off, and basically started all over again by cutting off a lot of cake, which I thought I did. I thought I cut off a lot of cake, but lo and behold, after I covered it again, I had to ice it properly before I covered it with fondant again. But I went ahead and I did all that work, and still it did not look right. So somebody said, oh, are you going to give them a discount because you cut off so much cake? Again. Oh, some of you are so dramatic. No, I'm not. First off, I put a lot of love into my cakes. Love, time, and effort. I want it to be chef's kiss for you when I'm done. So I really do go a little bit above and beyond, normally more than what you would have asked for. Plus, I made that first layer 3 instead of 2, so that kind of helped save up for the cake. And although it looked like I cut a lot off, it wasn't too bad. As you can see, this was the second attempt. I was not happy. It still didn't look right, okay? Yes, now I was contemplating life. So I didn't show you the process of how I fixed it because this is the fixed version. I know it doesn't look like it just yet because the top is cut off, but I took the top off, flattened the styrofoam a little bit from the top, and basically covered it again to give it that mushroom shape. And I slimmed down the middle part as well. I want to call it the shaft part. It just sounds wrong. But anywho, I painted on the white little dots just to kind of look like sparkles or flowers, whatever you want to say it is. I added the little well. If you notice, I did airbrush the board as well to give it depth. And now to add all those little toppers, the mushrooms. What I didn't show you guys before this, when I woke up early on Saturday morning so that I could finish it, is I cut so many little leaves out that you see me putting right now, and so many little flowers as well, pink and white. And what I'm doing is basically just adding them sporadically throughout the cake. This is the funnest part of the cake process, the decorating, when it basically works out. So it was just starting to look so whimsical, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I had in mind. And the spots to make it look like the mushroom. And I added fresh flowers, the little birthday sign, and all in all, this is the final product. The butterflies have a toothpick in them inserted, and once you kind of steam fondant with fondant, they stick together pretty well. So that's how they kind of stuck there. I also put edible glitter on there, and I love it so much. What do you think? Don't you love it? Thanks for watching.